The twin suns of Verdania cast their amber glow through the canopy as Marcus Webb made his evening rounds through the collection grids. His hands, stained green from handling indigenous plant specimens, moved with practiced efficiency across the biosampling nets he'd strung throughout the forest. 5 years alone on this frontier world had taught him patience, precision, and the art of finding beauty in solitude. Marcus's lean frame moved easily through the undergrowth, his weather-worn features bearing the marks of countless hours under alien suns. The loose linen shirt he wore hung open in the humid air, revealing a torso tanned and scarred from years of fieldwork. His dark hair, streaked with premature silver, fell past his collar far longer than he'd ever worn it back on Earth. The forest sang its evening song around him, a symphony of chirps and rustles that had become as familiar as his own heartbeat. He'd learned to distinguish every sound, every pattern of movement in the vegetation, which was why the soft, melodic sobbing from his furthest net made him freeze mid-step. That wasn't any creature he knew, moving silently between the massive ferns. Marcus approached the sound with a mixture of caution and curiosity. What he found suspended 3 meters above the forest floor made his breath catch in his throat. Tangled in his biosampling net was a woman, or at least something remarkably woman-shaped. Her skin shimmered like mother of pearl, shifting between soft pink and lavender as she struggled against the mesh. Long, flowing hair, the color of deep ocean water, cascaded around her shoulders. And when her eyes met his, he found himself staring into irises that swirled like liquid silver. She wore what appeared to be a living garment, something between fabric and organic matter that pulsed gently with bioluminescent patterns. The suit clung to curves that were at once alien and achingly familiar. "Please," she said in perfect, unaccented English, her voice carrying a harmonic quality that made his spine tingle. "Please don't consume me. I know humans are apex predators, but I promise I would taste terrible. Absolutely dreadful. My people say I'm too bitter." Marcus couldn't help it. He laughed. The sound echoed through the forest, genuine and warm. "Consume you? Is that what you think I'm going to do?" The alien woman blinked, her silver eyes widening. You're not? But our xenological databases clearly state that humans are carnivorous hunters who— "Let me stop you right there," Marcus said, moving closer to examine the net's mechanism. "I'm a botanist, not a— whatever you think I am. Hold still, I'll get you down. A botanist?" Her tone shifted from fear to intrigue. "You study plant life?" "Exclusively," Marcus confirmed, working the release. "Though I have to admit, you're the first person I've caught in one of these nets. They're meant for collecting spore samples." "I see," she said, then yelped as the net suddenly gave way. Marcus caught her instinctively, his arms wrapping around her slight frame. She weighed almost nothing, feeling more like holding a bundle of silk than a person. For a heartbeat, they remained frozen, her silver eyes locked with his warm brown ones. This close, he could see that her skin wasn't just shifting colors. It was actually translucent, revealing networks of what looked like bioluminescent veins beneath the surface. "I'm Marcus," he said softly, carefully setting her on her feet. "Nira," she replied, smoothing her living suit with trembling hands. Nira of this Etherian exploratory cohort, or rather former cohort. "I wasn't supposed to land here. Running from something?" Her skin flickered rapidly between pink and deep purple. "Running to something. Knowledge. Understanding. My people's data on humans is clearly incomplete. If you're not immediately trying to eat me." Marcus grinned, his weather-worn face crinkling with amusement. "The day's not over yet. But seriously, are you hurt? Those nets can be pretty tight." Nira flexed her arms experimentally. "I seem to be intact. Though I must admit, your method of specimen collection is rather aggressive for a plant researcher." It's gentler than it looks. Come on, my cabin isn't far. I can offer you tea and a proper explanation about human dietary habits." She hesitated, studying him with those mesmerizing eyes. "Your dwelling. Is it safe?" "Safer than out here after dark. The nocturnal predators on this planet actually do eat anything they can catch." "That's surprisingly persuasive," Nira admitted. They walked in comfortable silence, Marcus leading the way along paths only he knew. He noticed how Nira moved. Her steps were lighter than air, barely disturbing the undergrowth. Her skin continued its color shifts, and he realized it seemed to respond to the ambient light, creating a kind of natural camouflage. "So," he said conversationally, "if you weren't supposed to be here, where were you supposed to be?" "Observing from orbit," Nira replied. "My vessel is conducting a standard survey of this sector." "But I—" She paused, her skin flushing a deeper shade of lavender. "I may have borrowed a landing pod without authorization." "You stole a spaceship to get a closer look at plants?" "And the humans studying them," she admitted. "Our data on your species is contradictory. Some reports suggest you're violent predators. Others indicate you're capable of remarkable empathy and creativity." I needed to see for myself. Marcus's cabin emerged from the tree line, a structure he'd built himself from local timber and stone, designed to blend seamlessly with the forest. Large windows caught the fading light, and flowering vines he'd cultivated climbed the walls, filling the air with a sweet, spicy fragrance. Nira stopped at the threshold, her eyes widening. "This is ... unexpected. What were you expecting? A cave? Bones scattered around?" "Perhaps," she said, with what might have been a smile. "Our data suggested humans on frontier worlds lived in crude utilitarian structures. Well, when you're alone for 5 years, you either make your space beautiful or you go mad. Sometimes both." Marcus pushed open the door, gesturing her inside. The interior was warm and inviting, filled with sketches of local flora, pressed specimens in frames, and shelves lined with hand-bound journals. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, and comfortable furniture, upholstered in woven plant fibers, created cozy conversation areas. But what truly captured Nira's attention were the plants, hundreds of them, each in hand-thrown ceramic pots, creating a living garden within the cabin. "You brought the forest inside," she breathed, moving toward a particularly striking specimen with spiral leaves that glowed softly in the dimming light. "Careful with that one," Marcus warned, moving to a small kitchen area. "It releases spores if it's startled." Nira's hand hovered just above the plant, and to Marcus's amazement, the leaves seemed to lean toward her palm. "It recognizes me as non-threatening. Remarkable." "You have a way with plants?" "My people evolved alongside flora that required symbiotic relationships. We've always had an affinity." Her skin brightened, taking on a pleased golden tone. "Your collection is extraordinary. Some of these I've never seen cataloged." Marcus felt an unexpected warmth at her praise. He prepared tea using leaves from one of his cultivated specimens, watching as Nira explored his life's work with genuine fascination. When he handed her a steaming cup, their fingers brushed, and he felt a slight tingle-like static electricity, but warmer. "Thank you," Nira said, settling onto a cushioned bench near the window. She sipped carefully, her eyes widening. "This is delicious." "What is it?" "Local plant, similar to chamomile, but with a hint of vanilla. I've been experimenting with crossbreeding some earth seeds with native species." Marcus sat across from her, cradling his own cup. "So, unauthorized landing aside, what made you so determined to study humans up close?" Nira's skin shifted through several colors before settling on a soft rose. "Honestly, your species fascinates me. You're classified as predators, yet you create art. You're territorial, yet you explore. You're capable of violence, yet, she gestured around the cabin, you spend years alone cultivating beauty. You're walking contradictions. Maybe that's what makes us human, Marcus said. We contain multitudes. A poet-botanist, Nira observed, her silver eyes sparkling. The contradictions continue. They talked as the sun set and Verdania's 3 moons rose, painting the forest in ethereal light. Nira explained her people's strict scientific protocols, their emphasis on observation over interaction, their belief that emotional responses compromised objective research. Marcus shared his own story, how he'd left Earth seeking solitude after losing his research partner and lover to a senseless accident, how he'd found healing in the silent company of growing things. I thought I'd never want human company again, he admitted as the moons reached their zenith. But this, talking with you, it doesn't feel intrusive. Nira's skin glowed warmly. Perhaps because I'm not human? Perhaps because you understand that some of the most important things can't be measured or catalogued. Marcus stood, moving to the window. Your people, they'll be looking for you? Undoubtedly. But their search protocols are methodical, logical. They'll start with the most probable locations and work outward. We have time. Time for what? Nira joined him at the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. To prove that your species is worth more than surface-level observation. To show that connection between different beings isn't a contamination of research. It's the research itself. Marcus turned to look at her, really look at her. In the moonlight, her translucent skin revealed constellations of light flowing through her veins, and her ocean-deep hair seemed to move with a life of its own. She was utterly alien, completely foreign to everything he'd known, and absolutely beautiful. Stay, he said simply, for as long as you want. I'll show you everything I've learned about this world. And in return, Nira said softly, her skin flushing that deep lavender again, I'll show you what I'm learning about yours. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Marcus understood that he'd captured something far more precious than any specimen in his nets. The possibility of connection he'd thought he'd lost forever. The forest sang around them, and 2 beings from different worlds stood together in the moonlight, beginning a study that would change them, both forever. Morning light filtered through the greenhouse dome attached to Marcus's cabin, casting prismatic patterns across rows of experimental hybrids. Nira stood transfixed before a wall of cascading vines, their flowers opening to release pollen that sparkled like stardust in the air. Her skin had taken on a soft green hue, harmonizing with the living walls around her. They respond to you, Marcus observed, entering with 2 cups of his herbal blend. He'd changed into clean work clothes-fitted canvas pants and a lightweight shirt rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with lean muscle. And they trust you, Nira replied, accepting the cup. Her fingers lingered against his for a moment, longer than necessary. These hybrids shouldn't be possible, according to standard xenobotany. The cellular structures are too different. I stopped worrying about should and shouldn't 3 years ago. Marcus moved beside her, his shoulder nearly touching hers. Sometimes you just have to listen to what the plants are telling you. Nira's silver eyes studied his profile. Is that what you're doing now? Listening? Always. His voice dropped lower. Though lately, I'm hearing things I haven't heard in a long time. Before Nira could respond, a sharp beeping erupted from the small device attached to her living suit. Her skin flashed pale blue alarm. Marcus was learning to interpret. They've entered the sector, she said, her harmonics strained. My cohort. They're using bioresonance scanners. Marcus set down his cup with deliberate calm. How long? Hours, maybe less. Nira's hands trembled slightly. Marcus, if they find me here with you, there will be ... complications. My people don't approve of unauthorized contact with species under study. Then we don't let them find you. He took her hand. Her skin was warm, almost feverish. "Come with me. I have somewhere they won't think to look." They moved quickly through the cabin, Marcus gathering supplies with practiced efficiency. He paused at a locked cabinet, withdrawing a small leather journal and a sealed container. Nira noticed the careful way he handled them, as if they were precious beyond measure. "What are those?" "Seeds," he said simply. "And memories. The two things I'd save if everything else burned." They left through a hidden exit at the back of the greenhouse, Marcus leading them into the densest part of the forest. The vegetation here grew so thick that the canopy blocked most sunlight, creating a perpetual twilight. Bioluminescent fungi provided the only illumination, painting everything in shades of blue and violet. "Where are we going?" Nira asked, her skin shifting to match the ambient light. "A place I found my second year here. I was chasing a rare bloom and got lost for 2 days." Marcus pushed aside a curtain of hanging moss, revealing a narrow opening in the ground. "Found this instead." The entrance led to a cavern system, but not like any cave Nira had seen. The walls were covered entirely in crystalline formations that had been colonized by bioluminescent plants, creating a living, breathing underground garden. Pools of clear water reflected the light, making the entire space seem to float in a sea of stars, double quotes, Marcus ... Nira breathed, her skin glowing in response to the environment. "This is ... my sanctuary," he finished. "When the loneliness got too heavy, I'd come here and remember that beauty exists even in the deepest darkness." They descended carefully, Marcus's hand steady on her elbow. At the bottom, the cavern opened into a space roughly the size of his cabin's main room. Marcus had clearly spent time here before. There was a small camp set up with blankets, some basic supplies, and several journals stacked on a flat rock. "The mineral content in the walls blocks most scanning equipment," he explained, arranging the supplies he'd brought. "And the bioluminescence creates interference patterns. We'll be invisible here." Nira moved through the space, trailing her fingers along the crystal walls. The plants seemed to pulse brighter at her touch, responding to some quality in her biology. "You brought me to your most private place. Seemed appropriate. You're trusting me with your freedom. Least I can do is trust you with my solitude." She turned to face him, her skin cycling through colors he hadn't seen before: rose gold, deep amber, soft coral. "Among my people, sharing sacred spaces is reserved for bonded pairs." Marcus felt his heart rate increase. "And among mine, it's reserved for people who matter." The air between them felt charged, electric. Nira crossed the space slowly, giving him time to retreat if he wished. He didn't move. "I need to tell you something," she said, stopping just inches away. "My people's data on humans isn't just incomplete, it's deliberately misleading. We've been observing your species for generations, but always from a distance. There are factions that fear you, that want to keep us separate. Why? Because every time our species have made peaceful contact with others, we've changed, evolved, and there are those who prefer stagnation to the risk of transformation." Her hand rose, hovering near his chest, not quite touching. "I came here because I believe that fear is holding us back from something profound." Marcus caught her hand, pressing it flat against his heart. Through her translucent skin, he could see her own pulse quicken in response. "And what have you learned so far?" "That I was right to break protocol," Nira whispered. "That some connections are worth the risk." He drew her closer, his other hand rising to cup her face. Her skin was impossibly soft, warm as summer rain. "Your people are going to find out eventually. When they do, what happens to you?" "Exile, probably. Stripped of my research credentials. Forbidden from returning home. That's a lot to give up for unauthorized field research." Nira's laugh was soft, musical. Is that what we're calling this? Field research? I don't know what to call it, Marcus admitted. I just know that when I caught you in that net yesterday, something shifted. Like a plant finally getting the specific nutrient it was missing. Poetic, she said, her skin glowing brighter. Accurate, he corrected. Their lips met softly at first. An exploration of differences. Her mouth was warmer than his, her breath carrying hints of ozone and honey. But the gentleness quickly deepened into something more urgent. Marcus pulled her flush against him, one hand tangling in her ocean-colored hair while the other traced the patterns of light, flowing beneath her skin. Nira made a sound like wind chimes in water, her living suit rippling with waves of color. Her hands explored the planes of his back, the muscles earned from years of physical labor. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing heavily. Your species' reputation for passion appears understated, Nira managed. Marcus laughed, pressing his forehead to hers. And yours for emotional restraint seems greatly exaggerated. They spent the day in the crystal cavern, alternating between conversation and comfortable silence, between heated moments and gentle companionship. Marcus showed her his journal sketches of plants, observations about the ecosystem, and scattered poetry that revealed the depths of his solitude. Nira shared her people's history, their evolution from a species that had nearly destroyed their world through rigid thinking, saved only by learning to adapt and flow like water. We were taught that emotions cloud judgment, she explained, lying beside him on the blankets he'd spread near one of the glowing pools. That attachment compromises objectivity. And now? Now I think maybe attachment is the only thing that makes observation meaningful. She turned to face him, propping herself on one elbow. What use is knowledge if it's not connected to anything that matters? Marcus traced the patterns of light flowing through her arm. When did you get so wise? Approximately 12 hours ago, when a handsome botanist caught me in his net and made me question everything I'd been taught. Handsome, huh? By both human and Cytherian standards, yes. We appreciate symmetry, proportional features, and evidence of physical capability. You qualify admirably. You're analyzing my attractiveness scientifically? Would you prefer I do it emotionally? Her skin flushed that deep lavender he was coming to associate with desire. Both, he said, pulling her closer. Definitely both. As evening approached, though they couldn't see the suns from their underground haven, Nira's device remained quiet. The search continued above, but they were safe in their crystalline sanctuary. Tell me about the seeds you brought, Nira said during a quiet moment. And the journal. Marcus's expression grew serious. He retrieved the leather journal, holding it carefully. Her name was Jennifer. We worked together at the Earth Botanical Conservatory, studying plant adaptation to climate stress. She was brilliant, passionate about preserving genetic diversity for future generations. What happened? Accident in the field. Flash flood. I tried to. He stopped, his jaw tight. The seeds are from our final project together. Species we saved from extinction. I brought them here thinking maybe I could find a way to make them thrive again, give them a second chance at life. Nira's hand covered his, her skin warm and comforting. Have you planted any? Couldn't bring myself to. What if I failed? What if they died here too? Or what if they flourished? Nira said softly, what if this world, so different from Earth, gave them exactly what they needed to become something new? Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, this alien woman who'd crashed into his life less than 24 hours ago, and somehow understood him better than anyone had in years. Help me plant them, he said suddenly. Tomorrow, when it's safe to surface. Help me give them that chance. Nira's skin bloomed with golden light. I would be honored. They sealed the promise with a kiss that tasted like new beginnings, like soil after rain, like the first green shoots pushing through winter earth. Around them, The crystalline plants pulsed with bioluminescence, as if the cavern itself was celebrating their connection. Above ground, Nira's cohort searched with increasing concern, their scanners showing nothing but the natural electromagnetic signatures of Verdania's mineral-rich geology. They didn't know that below the surface, two beings from different worlds were discovering that the most important research isn't about maintaining distance, it's about closing a dot as they lay together in the starlit darkness of the cave. Nira traced patterns on Marcus's chest while he played with strands of her luminous hair. Neither spoke of the future, of the complications that awaited when they could no longer hide. Instead, they existed fully in the present, in this pocket of time and space where nothing mattered except the growing connection between them. Marcus? Nira whispered as sleep began to claim them. Thank you for catching me. He smiled in the darkness, pulling her closer. Thank you for being worth catching. The crystal cavern hummed with quiet energy, two heartbeats gradually synchronizing. Two beings learning that sometimes the most significant discoveries happen not through observation, but through participation. Above them, the search continued. But here, in the sacred space between fear and trust, between solitude and connection, something new was taking root. Something that might just change two worlds forever.